Happening now on Grid Tonight. After years of fans and industry figures alike begging for the return of North Wilkesboro Speedway, it's finally happening. Racing returns to North Wilkesboro, and will it include NASCAR racing? Kevin Harvick said TV ratings would determine if NASCAR returned to Bristol Dirt next year. Well, the ratings are in, and a little hint, they were great. And shortly after the ratings release, Bristol said the dirt race is indeed coming back in 2023. Is that the right move, though? Matt Weiss here with your weekly grid history update and some news coming out of IndyCar. Beretta Autosport returning to the NTT IndyCar Series with Simona Di Silvestro after contesting last year's Indianapolis 500. And where can you see Beretta Autosport race later this year? Hello to all of our viewers watching here in the United States and around the world. Welcome to Grid Tonight, your weekly motorsports news program. I'm Kobe Lambeth from the Podium, and with me, as always, Adam Lemerise. And also want to give a special shout out to our great Patreon supporters, Colin, Mark, Duchelle, and Robin. Thank you guys so much for investing in the Grid Network. Link to our Patreon in the video description below. And to all our viewers, please feel free to comment in the chat room, ask questions, and engage in the discussion. And let's kick off tonight's show with the major news that was delivered in a press conference last Saturday afternoon at Bristol Motor Speedway. As I said, racing will return to the historic North Wilkesboro Speedway in an effort they're calling Racetrack Revival. To everyone's surprise, racing at North Wilkesboro Speedway is going to be happening sooner than we imagined, a couple of months away, starting in August of this year. Multiple series will race on the asphalt, such as super late models, street stocks, pro late models, limited late models, open wheel modifieds, late model stocks, and Hornets. Then there'll be a pause in the actions come September to tear up the asphalt because October will see the cars racing on the Wilkes County dirt. Fans will definitely get to see the best of both worlds at North Wilkesboro before a total repave in 2023. The dirt cars that will be eligible to compete: super late models, 410 sprint cars, big block modifieds, street stocks, open wheel modified, 602 crate late models, 604 crate late models, stock cars, and Hornets. Speedway Motorsports Incorporated (SMI) CEO and President Marcus Smith said they're working together with Wilkes County and North Carolina state officials to utilize the $18 million from the American Rescue Plan to improve the infrastructure at the facility. Smith added this is a great opportunity for North Wilkesboro to come back and showcase grassroots racing to allow SMI to learn what needs to be done for the grand reopening after the repave next year, giving a lot of credit to Dale Earnhardt Jr. for getting all this started when he got a group of people together to clean up the track for iRacing to scan. Adam, is SMI making a good decision to test things at the grassroots level before bringing NASCAR back? And what can you tell the viewers about the history of North Wilkesboro Speedway in general?
Well, Kobe, as someone who is very familiar with North Wilkesboro Speedway, this is totally awesome. A track where it's an original NASCAR track, a track where legends like Junior Johnson competed, and Junior Johnson didn't live, and Junior Johnson doesn't live far from North Wilkesboro at all. It's going to be awesome to see racing at the historic short track in the hills of North Carolina. And you're mentioning super late models. Well, I saw online that Junior Motorsports may be interested in competing in one of those races. As we all know, Dale Earnhardt Jr. does have a super late model team, and one of his drivers is Carson Kvapil, the son of former NASCAR truck champion Travis Kvapil. Also, we could see NASCAR Xfinity Series driver Josh Berry compete in a super late model at the track as well. And to give the viewer some perspective, the last time the NASCAR Cup Series ran there, who was the last winner? Well, we all know him. His name is Jeff Gordon. Back in the day, the NASCAR Cup Series had 2 dates at North Wilkesboro. So, with this news, I gotta say, It's a welcome sight for fans all across the state, all across the state of North Carolina. And it's going to be awesome to see cars on that historic short track in a few months' time. I can't wait.
Yeah, you can't wait, and I'm sure a lot of other fans all around the country can't wait to go to North Wilkesboro. A lot of people who are younger like me, we only know about North Wilkesboro, but looking at old races online and listening to people tell us stories about the racetrack because I have obviously no memory of North Wilkesboro Speedway because all the action was gone before I started watching NASCAR, and then just a few years ago, it seemed like this track was going to be a lost speedway, a gone speedway forever. But then Dale Earnhardt Jr., I feel like none of this would have been possible without Dale Earnhardt Jr. because I mentioned the fact that he wanted to clean up the track so you can scan it in iRacing because at the time it looked like North Wilkesboro Speedway was gonna be like for real a thing of the past, 100% gone forever. So they were able to clean the track and scan it and put it on iRacing. And during the pandemic, when NASCAR was off, they ran a big grand finale race online with the NASCAR Pro Invitational Series at virtual North Wilkesboro Speedway because if Northville Speedway was going to disappear forever, at least we'd have it in the virtual world forever. However, this really jump started a movement to bring North Wilkesboro Speedway back for real. I know a lot of people said that track was gone, including myself. I didn't think it would ever come back. I thought North Wilkesboro Speedway would just be a thing of the past and never ever have a chance of returning. But I'm really glad that I was proven wrong here. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Marcus Smith, you have to give them a lot of credit for really pushing for this project. I know it's a lot to invest to bring a racetrack back from the deteriorating condition that it was in, but SMI, they have a lot of smart people, and I'm sure they're going to be working really hard these next few months for it to be ready for the return on asphalt, and then they're going to tear it up, and then you're going to see dirt racing at North Wilkesboro Speedway. I think it's certainly going to be a lot of fun. I think it's a great thing that they're going to be focused on grassroots because they'll be able to learn so many things rather than just fixing it up and just throwing the NASCAR Truck Series or the ARCA Menard Series on it and just letting something happen. They can use these couple of months towards the end of the year, see what needs to be done, and then when they repave, they can turn it into a modern racing facility that will invite fans all over the country, or maybe even some across the globe who know about the North Wilkesboro Speedway and want to attend those events. And speaking of Marcus Smith, he said he'd like to see North Wilkesboro Speedway host a NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race in the future, and he believes this could happen as early as 2024, but he doesn't think the track could host a modern Xfinity Cup race in its current form because of the track's size and infrastructure. Do you find it hard to believe that SMI would invest so much money to bring back North Wilkesboro with no desire whatsoever of having a NASCAR Cup Series race?
Yeah, I'd be surprised. I would be surprised if North Wilkesboro Speedway didn't host a cup race or even an Xfinity race. Like I mentioned, the cup race or the NASCAR Cup Series has run there for a long, long time. You can go back to the 60s and 70s and 80s. They had two races there, and it was really popular for fans all across the Tar Heel state of North Carolina. Um, you know, hopefully one day the NASCAR Cup Series can return to the historic track. And one other series that used to race there associated with NASCAR was the modified series, and their races were broadcast live. Yeah, live on ESPN, a series that normally doesn't get a lot of national TV attention. So, um, hopefully, hopefully, all these events will be streamed online or televised somewhere. So fans who don't remember North Wilkesboro Speedway from back in the day can enjoy all this racing from wherever they may live, here in the United States and across the world.
Yeah, I do find it hard to believe that they invest all this money just to not host a NASCAR Cup Series event someday, and yet a track right now in its current form with the size and infrastructure all around the track, maybe it's not capable of hosting a modern NASCAR Cup Series race, but just because it's not in that shape today, with $18 million to play with, and I assume a little bit more than that from other places, that they can fix up North Wilkesboro Speedway where it's capable of hosting a NASCAR Cup Series race someday, not today, not tomorrow, but maybe just a few years' time. Maybe they want to experiment first with the truck race and then slowly bring back other series. I'm sure a lot of people would be really happy to see a NASCAR Cup Series race back at North Wilkesboro, up in the mountains area in Wilkes County, North Carolina. This is definitely a great moment for the state, for in general the North Carolina state economy, which has been trying to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic, and this is definitely going to bring a lot of revenue to the state. I know I saw some people online, they were talking about saying in the year 2022, I cannot believe that I am ordering tickets to North Wilkesboro Speedway, something that you probably did not expect to be talking about 1 year ago, 2 years ago, or even 5 years ago when it looked like the track was going to be gone forever. And our own Joe Samniego brought up a really interesting thing that I didn't even think of. He was saying that the movie Cars is really, like what's happened with North Wilkesboro Speedway, when the Thomasville Speedway in the movie Cars 3, it was based on North Wilkesboro Speedway, and in the movie Cars 3, they were able to bring back Thomasville Speedway from the dead and had a grand reopening. And what happened with North Wilkesboro Speedway? The exact same thing. Closed down. Nobody racing there. Really got run down, and now they're investing in the track to bring it back to life, and they're gonna have a grand reopening at some point in the future. And I think it's definitely going to be such a mega event.
Yeah, Colby, it's called, as someone who's lived in the mountains of North Carolina for a long time, North Wilkesboro Speedway isn't far from my house, so I may not go there this year, but I but I can say I'll find a way to attend a race at North Wilkesboro Speedway in the future. There's so much memories in that track, and it's really close to me. So it's one track I always wanted to visit, but never have. Now I can say I probably will attend a race at North Wilkesboro Speedway one day. And for all of you viewers out there who haven't had a chance to eat yet, well, I'm going to make you hungry. Beard Motorsports is returning to the NASCAR Cup Series this weekend at Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama. The team that usually enters the Superspeedway races, but they have a new major sponsor, with Noah Gragson returning to the number 62 Chevrolet to be supported by a popular fast food restaurant, Wendy's. Yeah, Wendy's. The restaurant that legendary Dave Thomas founded is coming on board to promote their $5 biggie bag. The first time that we've seen a sponsorship on a car in over 20 years. In the infield at Talladega, there will be a pop-up Wendy's restaurant. So NASCAR fans going to the track this weekend can get themselves a $5 meal. The $5 biggie bag gives you the option of choosing a junior bacon cheeseburger double stack, or a crispy chicken BLT with 4-piece chicken nuggets, spicy or crispy, a small hot and crispy fries, and a small soft drink. And the graphics you've seen on the screen, courtesy of Beard Motorsports, Noah Gragson, and Wendy's. So if that doesn't make you go to Wendy's and go get you something to eat, Uh, I would I would recommend it. And now here's Kobe with some news about the NASCAR dirt race at Bristol Speedway.
Oh, Adam, now I'm in the mood to watch Cars 3 tonight and get me a $5 biggie bag at Wendy. And that just shows you that's the sponsorship activation that makes NASCAR so great. You see something like this and you want it immediately. So the traditional NASCAR sponsorship model still going strong. And as I mentioned earlier in our intro, the ratings are in from Bristol Dirt and the numbers look decent, to be honest with you. And starting with the Penty's truck race on dirt, 1.167 million viewers, and an 87% increase in viewership over last year's Bristol Dirt truck race. 51% increase compared to the truck race at Richmond that aired on the same weekend last year. It was the seventh most watched truck race ever on FS1 and the best audience since Atlanta in 2017. So far in 2022, Truck Series viewership is up 6% compared to 2021. Now moving on to the Food City Dirt Race, over 4 million viewers for the NASCAR Cup Series race on Easter Sunday, an event that was delayed twice by rain in comparison to last year's rain delayed Bristol Dirt Race. A 28% increase in viewership, 20% increase over Richmond Raceway that took place on the same weekend in 2021. NASCAR and Fox broadcasts are definitely enjoying an increase in viewership with a 17% increase over the 2021 season through the first 8 races. Graphics courtesy of Fox Sports PR, and this led to the announcement that Bristol Dirt would return in 2023. Bristol Motor Speedway President and General Manager Jerry Caldwell said this past race weekend exceeded their expectations with strong ticket sales and primetime viewership on Fox. So Bristol is preparing to host another spring night race on the dirt, although the official date has not been confirmed yet. And based on the decent ratings and a better on track product compared to the dusty mess from 2021, is the Bristol Dirt Race likely here to stay for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, Kobe, I think it is. You know, to me, I was sort of surprised about the ratings. Because of the two rain delays. But I think what got a lot of viewers' attention is the last lap battle between Chase Briscoe and Tyler Reddick, and Kyle Busch sliding on by and snapping a long winless streak. I'm happy. It was nice to see. Especially with the event this year being on Easter Sunday. A lot of people probably went to church that day, and what I thought was really cool is the stuff that FS1 did before the pre-race show. I thought that was one of the coolest things FS1 Fox Sports has ever done. Hopefully they'll do that again in the future. So I'm happy that the Bristol Dirt race is coming back in 2023, and I think the ratings have something to do with this new next gen car. I think all the fans have loved all the racing so far this year, and this weekend we're going to another super speedway, Talladega. We all remember what happened at Daytona, even though Talladega is a longer track, 2.66 miles compared to Daytona with 2.5 miles. I think the ratings are going to be really good, not only on Fox, but once we get over to NASCAR on NBC for the summer, for the rest of the year.
Yeah, NASCAR is definitely enjoying some really strong numbers in terms of viewership, and I'm sure NASCAR is really happy to see that happening because we remember for like the last decade and so we saw a massive decline in ratings in NASCAR, and they just kept going down and down and down, and the numbers they were just looking really bad for the future of the sport, and then it seems like things have really started to turn around in the last couple of years or so, and the ratings are starting to go up again, and that's definitely a great thing to see in terms of the future of the sport. And getting back to the question, if the Bristol Dirt Race is likely here to stay for the foreseeable future, I'm not going to say necessarily Bristol Dirt, but I'm going to say probably having at least one dirt race on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. That's probably here to stay, because thinking long term about Bristol Dirt, and the interesting thing, the date hasn't been confirmed yet, and I'm wondering if they're going to try to move Bristol Dirt back in the schedule, because since it's typically earlier in the year, catch all that bad weather in the spring race, and it just turns into a big mess and a game of waiting and delaying all the time. So maybe they might decide to push it back into May, or even June, but that would be pushing it when you think about the Bristol night race on the concrete. And the reason why I'm not sure if dirt racing in Bristol is going to be a long term thing, because all, all of these trucks of dirt that you have to dump down for this track, and then after the World of Outlaws race that's going to be taking place there later on in the year, then they have to pack up all that dirt and clean the track to get ready for the Bristol night race weekend later on in the year. And if they have to keep doing that all the time, year after year after year, you have to wonder, when is the Bristol crew gonna get tired of dumping the dirt, cleaning off the dirt, dumping the dirt, cleaning off the dirt, it takes a while to put it down and clean up the mess. So I'm wondering, at some point, are we gonna see burnout from the Bristol crew, that they don't want to do this every year? Maybe Bristol Dirt eventually comes into a rotational thing. Maybe we rotate dirt tracks. Maybe one year we'll do Bristol Dirt. Next year you go to Knoxville Raceway, and after that maybe Eldora, and just keep going back and forth. So you don't have to put the strain on the Bristol Motor Speedway crew to keep putting on the dirt and taking it off year after year. And moving on to a story from the NTT IndyCar Series, they announced changes to the Nashville Street Circuit ahead of the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix in August. Last year, during the inaugural event, there were some issues with the track discovered during the first attempt to put on a better show. This time around, the restart zone has been moved from the area in front of Nissan Stadium, home of the NFL's Tennessee Titans, to the long straightaway towards the Korean War Veterans Memorials Bridge. It's the same place where they started the race last year, which should create more overtaking opportunities and cleaner restarts. Other changes been made to the track. The apex at turn 11 will be opened up by 6 feet to increase track width and improve visibility. Their transition areas at both ends of the Korean War Veterans Memorial Bridge will be smooth in order to reduce cars from bottoming out, coming on, and off the bridge. The apex at turn 5 will be repaved to minimize the bump. Turn 9's track width has been reduced to 50 feet to accommodate additional suites in the primary viewing area. Also, additional gates have been added to maximize track crossings at several locations. Next, here's Matt White with a grid history update.
Hi everyone, Matt White here. Time for your big Easter edition of the weekend results roundup. What a big weekend it was as well. We'll start at Bristol, where Ben Rhodes won the truck race on Saturday night on dirt, and Kyle Busch backed into a victory in the Cup race on Sunday night to get his first win of the year. Some big action all around the globe, and we start European-wise at Silverstone, where the British Superbike Championship kicked off their season over the Easter Bank Holiday weekend. 3 wins from 3 races for Glenn Irwin, getting his season off to the absolute perfect start. They're in action at Alton Park in a couple of weeks' time on another bank holiday here in the UK. At Paul Ricard, the European Le Mans Series kicked off their season. Lorenzo Colombo, Ferdinand Habsburg and Louis Delatraz getting the victory in LMP2 and overall for Prema. Big shout to Bent Viscout and Sophia Flörsch for a second place in that race in LMP2. In P3, the young Norwegian Malfi Jakobsen, Maurice Smith and Michael Benham were the winners in LMP3. And in GT, Pierre Arret, Nicholas Varone and Mimo Gidley getting a victory in the GT races. Not the only GT action, because we had the first proper round of the American GT World Challenge getting underway at Sonoma. 2 wins for Lamborghini, Jordan Pepper and Andrea Caldarelli, even the team manager, getting victories for the Lamborghini team there. In Japan, Super GT got their season underway at Okayama, the former Grand Prix circuit. Kazuki Oshima and Kenta Yamashita winning for Toyota. in GT500, the overall category, and in GT300 there was a win for Nissan for JP Oliveira and Kyoto Fujinami. And we'll finish this week's results roundup at Bathurst, where we had some Trans Am, all 3 races won by Nathan Hearn. He swept the weekend there. He's now on 7 in a row in Trans Am at Bathurst if you include last year's races. In Super Cheap Auto TCR, we had 2 wins for the very fast Aaron Cameron in the Peugeot, and Bailey Sweeney getting the win in the middle race, his first in the category. The big ticket item of the weekend there was the High-Tech Oil 6 Hour of Bathurst. Tom Sargent and Cameron Hill won in a BMW M2 from pole position, although they did get sent to the back of the field and drove all the way through a 60-plus car field across 6 hours to win the race. Don't forget to check out Grid History on Twitter. That's grid_history, where every day we post a motorsport memory from the past. And we've had some crackers over the last few days. Some supercars, some NASCAR, and some other things besides. So every day we'll post a racing memory with hopefully a link from the Grid Video Vault for you to enjoy. We'll be back on next week's show. A massive weekend again this weekend with Formula 1 back in action at Imola. We've got WRC finally getting their season back underway in Croatia, World Superbike and MotoGP action to bring you on this edition, next week's edition of the Weekend Roundup. So we'll see you next week for all of that and more.
Thank you, Matt. And yesterday at a press conference at IMS, Beretta Autosport announced that the all-female racing team will return to the NTT IndyCar Series later this year for select events. While they won't compete in this year's Indianapolis 500, Beretta has formed a partnership with Chevrolet and at Carpenter Racing to fill the number 16 Chevrolet for returning driver Simona Di Silvestro with sponsorship from KiwiCo. Beretta's first race is going to be at Road America in June, and they'll also compete at Mid-Ohio and Nashville. Plus, there could be additional non-oval events added to the schedule, depending on how things shape up. And team owner Beth Beretta and driver Simona Di Silvestro are expected to attend the 106th Indy 500 in the month of May and the Detroit Grand Prix at Belle Isle, which is going to be the final race on Belle Isle before they move to downtown Detroit. Although Beretta will not be competing in that event, and the graphic you see on the screen right there, courtesy of Beretta Autosport. Adam, is Beretta Autosport taking the right steps here to potentially expand to a full-time IndyCar program?
Yup, and hashtag girl power. This is going to be awesome to see. You know, I can remember when Simona Di Silvestro competed in IndyCar. In fast fact, Simona Di Silvestro also competed in the Repco Supercars Championship as well. Bet you didn't know that, huh? But anyway, it's going to be awesome to see this all-female led team compete at select races, and hopefully down the road we see them compete full-time in the NTT IndyCar Series. I hope it does happen, because it'll give a lot of young ladies out there watching saying, hey, I could be like Simona Di Silvestro one day, and she could be an inspiration to a lot of young ladies all across, not only here in the United States, but across the world.
Well, Adam, I think Simona Di Silvestro has already been a major inspiration to a lot of ladies all around the world, whether it's here in the United States, in Europe, or Australia. When you mentioned she ran in the Repco Supercars Championship, and she was really popular down there in Australia with the race fans, and she's always been a fan favorite everywhere she's gone. I think Beth Beretta is certainly making the right moves here, partnering with a competitive IndyCar team like Ed Carpenter Racing, where they can provide the support and really help that team come along. And you saw the support that Team Penske gave her operation last year in the Indianapolis 500. Although they didn't get the finish that they wanted, Penske made sure they were prepared, and Simona had a lot of speed in that car. But thinking long term, I understand it's really hard to sit out the biggest race of the year, the Indianapolis 500. I'm sure Beretta Autosport was itching for more. They want to be in that big race. But sometimes, if you really have a big goal, you have to take a step back and take those baby steps to get there. So I'm sure running the road and street courses this year is going to be be that second major step. The first step was running Indy 500, and second major step, get experience on the road and street courses. At least have 3 races confirmed on the schedule. Maybe they'll add more later on in the year. It's going to depend probably on sponsorship and all of that, whether or not they're going to make it to a fourth or even a fifth race. And maybe that third and final step is finally going to be a full-time program in the NTT IndyCar Series with a female driver at the wheel. More than likely going to be Simona Di Silvestro, or maybe someone else will get an opportunity. And looking at Simona Di Silvestra's history as an NTT IndyCar Series driver, she typically performs much better on the road and street courses than the ovals. For some reason, the oval tracks haven't really gone her way for the most part. And throughout her IndyCar career, she has top 5 finishes on the streets of St. Pete, the former street circuit in Baltimore, New Orleans Motorsports Park, and she has a career best second place finish on the streets of Houston. And here's my next question for you, Adam. Do you expect to see Simona be more comfortable in the car with this year's program, focusing on the type of tracks she typically excels at?
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, Kobe, she's had really good success on the road courses and street courses. So I think she'll be very comfortable when her team does compete in all these races. Maybe her team will surprise a lot of people. Maybe the team will start inside the top 15 in a race or two, maybe inside the top 20, and who knows what results could happen. Could we see I know it's a new team, but could we see him finish at least in the top 15 at one race? Sure. I mean, there's so much good talent in the NTT IndyCar Series this year, and I'm so happy that we get to see Simona Di Silvestro back in the NTT IndyCar Series.
Yeah, we know the full-time IndyCar grid is extremely healthy right now. I have 26 cars running full-time and may have some additional entries later on throughout the season. So when Simona races, might have 27, 20, or even 29 cars entered in these races. So it's going to be super, super competitive. And I'm sure a great goal for Simona will be like in one of those races, try to get a top 15 finish. That would certainly have to feel like a win for the team, considering it seems like IndyCar Series becomes more competitive year after year, and I would not be surprised if one of those races she's able to click off a really impressive result and surprise some people. But it really shouldn't be a surprise looking at her history when she was a full-time IndyCar driver before, doing extremely well on the road courses and the street courses, just doing an amazing job. And for some drivers, the ovals, it just doesn't click with them, and some drivers, other drivers, they just run into bad luck and all of that. But Simona on these road and street courses, I think she'll definitely feel more at home, and expect her to have some decent results for Beretta Autosport.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to see like I said, it'd be really cool to see Simona back in the NTT IndyCar Series in an all-female team. That's going to be pretty cool as well. And now switching gears, going from asphalt to off-road, 9-time World Rally Champion Sebastian Loeb will make another start in the WRC this year after winning the season opening Rally Monte Carlo in the country of Monaco. Loeb will drive one of the M Sport Ford next month at the Rally de Portugal. According to motorsport.com, we're likely to see another battle of the Sebastians from France, as Sebastien Ogier is expected to race in that as well. So it's going to be cool to see how both of those drivers do against this year's talent in the WRC. And here's what Loeb had to say about returning to the WRC in May, and the graphic you see on the screen courtesy of M Sport. Driving the Puma is one of my favorite rally memories. Winning Monte Carlo after such a long time was incredible. The team worked really well. With a quick fix to the difficulties we faced at Shakedown, allowing us to claim our 80th rally win. That's still incredible. I've compared this version of Rally to Portugal in 2019. So I have a base of pace notes from some of the stages. That was one reason for choosing Portugal. The other was I wanted to do a gravel rally. I like driving on gravel, so it's a very straightforward choice. And some more WRC news, according to the WRC website. One of the most successful drivers in the Repco Supercross Championship, Shane Van Gisbergen, could make his WRC debut in a WRC2 car. Shane Van Gisbergen's been getting a lot of seat time doing some off-road racing, competing in the Australian Rally Championship. SVG would love to compete in the WRC in his home country of the Rally New Zealand. He said it's going to be hard to try to find a seat for the race, but it's not going to be easy. But he wants to do more rally racing leading up to Rally New Zealand. So he's fully prepared for a new adventure. And speaking of the WRC, it's now time for everybody's favorite game here at Grid Network, Pick a Winner. And use the hashtag Pick a Winner on social media, and you can see your name appearing here on our leaderboard. And if it's your first time playing Pick a Winner, your first point in the month of April is double. So be sure to get your picks in. And that all being said, it's time for Kobe and I to make our picks for the WRC Croatia Rally. All right, Kobe, who wins the WRC Croatia Rally this weekend?
I wish Sebastian Ogier and Sebastian Loeb were competing, because when they were in World Rally Championship, those are the only two I just really picked to win these races. But since they're gone now, it's very hard to find someone to win these races. I think there's going to be back-to-back, go two in a row. Kali Rovanpera is going to get it done in Rally Croatia.
Well, I'm going to go with the driver from the UK. I'm going to say that Elvin Evans wins this weekend in Rally Croatia. And be sure to watch our wrap-up show on Sunday night as we recap the action from the WRC Croatia Rally and all the events this weekend here at Grid Network. And with that being said, I'll send it over to my colleague, Kobe Lambeth, as we wrap up another edition of Grid Tonight for this Wednesday night.
Yep, that's it for another episode of Grid Tonight. And please be sure to like and subscribe to Grid Network here on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We encourage you to take 5 minutes after our show and consider joining our Patreon, invest in Grid Network to keep us on the air well into the future. Do you want to buy me a coffee? Click the link in the video description below and you can buy a drink for your favorite on-air talent here at Grid Network. And special thank you to Edward Hunter from Formula E Zone, Amber, and Zachary for bonus one. We greatly appreciate it. Any amount will help us continue growing our motorsports media outlet. Visit public.com, also known as the stock market social media home. A link below and referral code gives you $5 to invest immediately. Public.com allows you to connect with your friends. You can make new friends and use tools to learn how to invest in the stock market. And looking at our schedule for this week, Thursday tomorrow, be sure to check out a new episode of Women in Motorsports, and Saturday back on the air, Grid Live pre-race at noon Eastern, and Sunday Grid Live wrap-up 90 minutes after the NASCAR Cup Series race at Talladega, going back to Super Speedway. We're sure we're going to have a lot to talk about. These Super Speedway races are usually very, very chaotic. And for Adam Lemerise, I'm Kobe Lambert from the Podium Finish. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities such as new companies and potential business partners and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDnet for your free $5 to invest and start investing and networking on public.com.